This video will talk about how to use guided notes, how to access Kami, and edit and share your guided notes digitally. You can use the timestamp in the description of the video to skip to the information that you need. First, we'll talk about accessing guided notes. When you're in the tutorial, you will find the guided notes in the resources folder. This is the little file folder right here. When you click on it, they're usually the first or the only link in that folder. And when you open that link, it will open in a new window. Now, to open the guided notes in Kami, that will allow you to edit these notes. So you'll click on that blue button that says Open with Kami. If you are using a student Chromebook, Kami is already connected. You'll just need to log in with your student account and allow Kami to share documents with your student Google account. If you're using a personal device, talk with your teacher about how to connect Kami and any troubleshooting you might need to do. I've opened this document in Kami before, and you notice that on April 12th, it saved my work. There are 6 changes that I made to it. I'm going to open this one that only has 1 change made to it. If you are using this to edit your guided notes, then you'll want to only open 1 document to avoid having multiple copies. I'm going to go ahead and open this back up, and it will have that edit that I already made saved in there. So you can start right back where you left off. Let's talk about some of the tools that you can use in Kami. On the guided notes, you'll see the areas that you need to fill in are gray. These are autofill sections. So you can use the arrow tool to click and type in that box. Now, sometimes the autofill section, you can't change the size of the font. And so if your definition is especially long, part of that might be off to the side where you can't see it. If this is a problem for you, then you can use the text box. That's this T right here. You'll choose what color you want the font and then click in the spot, and the text box will allow you to change the size of the font, the spacing of the font, so how far apart the lines are. It's set to 1 point. And then also the style of the font if you want to do that, but you don't have to. Most of the time, your answers will fit in the space given. And if you're using the autofill section with the select arrow, then you can press the tab button on your keyboard to move to the next space. Make sure you check over your notes. Sometimes it skips ahead when you're using the tab button. So make sure you check over your notes to make sure you've answered every question. Like I said before, with the text box tool, you can change the font, the size, and the line spacing. And anytime I want to make a text box, I can just click that spot. Sometimes you have to click twice. First, it clicks in the autofill section, and then it clicks to make a new text box. And you can write what you need there. In math, you might need some different symbols, such as division signs or square roots. And you can use this equation division sign to add some of those special characters. When you are using guided notes, I'm going to pause here and cut out this center section if I can. I need to stop sharing and share my entire screen. And then I'm going to minimize this. When you are using the guiding notes, it can be helpful to use split screen on your computer. To do this with your mouse or your trackpad, you're going to click and hold on the tab. The tab is the smaller one at the top, and pull it down until it becomes its own window. Then you can let go of it and move it over. You can also go to the side and use the arrow keys to make it bigger or smaller based on what you need to see. You can use the split screen shortcut keys on your student Chromebook. And to do that, you're going to press Control and the bracket, which is right next to the letter P, or the opposite bracket, which is the next key to the right. That will automatically split your screen and send one window to one side. Just like I did with the mouse, you can pull it out and send the other window to the other side. If you need to see what pages you have opened and you're using your student Chromebook, you can click the Show Windows button. It is the rectangle with 3 lines next to it, and that will show you all the windows that you have opened at that time. Now let's talk about answering questions in the guided notes. The first section in many of the tutorials is the glossary section. Most classes have in the resources tab a link to a glossary. You can use this glossary to find the terms and front load your vocabulary so that you know the new terms that are going to be used in the tutorial before you read or listen to the other content. The terms in the glossary are in alphabetical order, and the terms on the guided notes are typically in the order that they appear in the tutorial. I can search for the words in alphabetical order, scroll down until I find I'm looking for the word conventions. And here is the definition for conventions. And I can write that right into the spot here. Or I can use shortcut keys, Control F, to search for the word that I want. In this case, the next word is style. And it will bring me straight to that word. Again, that's shortcut key, Control F. And I can type that definition into the box there. The next thing you'll notice as you're going through your guided notes, many of the guided notes have an objective section. This is one of the first slides in the tutorial. And it always starts with, in this lesson, you will, and it tells you exactly what you're going to be learning in the lesson. And you will write that down straight from the tutorial. In this lesson, you will Define the characteristics of business writing and how it compares to other types of writing. The other thing you'll notice is that the headings in the guided notes match the headings that are in the tutorial. So this types of business writing, that's one of the main sections. I also see that here, types of business writing. So if you go through your tutorial and you realize you missed an answer, you can go directly back to that section and search for that answer. Sometimes the sentences in the guided notes are exactly the same as the sentences in the tutorial. Sometimes it requires some understanding and interpretation on your part to figure out how to answer the questions that are there. For example, here in the guided notes, it says employees are the blank of a business. Investors and customers are the blank of a business. So as I'm reading through the tutorial, I'll read this first paragraph here and see if I can find that answer. Business writing refers to the many forms of writing that businesses use to communicate with internal and external audiences. Employees make up the business's internal audience, while its external audience includes investors and customers. So I heard when I was reading that it talked about employees and also it talked about investors and customers. It says employees make up the business's internal audience. So I'm going to write that down right there in my guided notes, internal audience. And investors and customers make up the external audience. So I'm going to write that here, external audience. You're going to continue on through your tutorial. Sometimes the answers to the blanks are inside mini slides. So this slide here has several other mini slides, and you're going to summarize what it talks about in each one. So for the resume section, it tells you several sentences about what a resume is. You're going to summarize that in these couple of lines here. And you can compare it with the examples that they give you. So they give you the example of email, a form of communication that businesses use to share information with employees, investors, and customers. And you'll notice email is a form of electronic communication that businesses use to share information with employees, investors, and customers. Business emails contain a heading, a body, and a closing. Here are two examples of business emails, and you can click on this link to see more examples of business emails. You're just going to summarize what it has there. Many of the guided notes have a summary question at the end. This is not an answer that you will find directly stated in your guided notes. This is you interpreting what you learned while you were doing this tutorial. So make sure you answer that question the best that you're able to.